Hey guys, Mike here. So about what a day in the market. Has some stocks erupting like Tesla and Snow once again. We'll go into those charts because Tesla has something very big coming up tomorrow. But there was something that sparked it today. I'll show you exactly why if you don't know anything about that. And Snow has a pretty big challenge coming up itself. So we'll look at those for sure. Also, something that's happened probably 3 times now in the last like month, which I don't know if it's a technical thing or what it is, but it's affecting a lot of different stocks. And I'll show you what I'm talking about with that. Also, understand, it's going to be a short week, right? We're going to have half day Wednesday. 4th of July is Thursday. Let me know if you got any big plans going on for that and stuff. I mean, we'll just be shooting fireworks and all that fun stuff. But and so normally you'll get a low volume week, obviously, with a day and a half out of the market and stuff. And a lot of people are just on vacation. Right, so that's a whole nother thing. So we'll see what we got. Plus, as I'll show you at the end, we got Jerome Powell speaking tomorrow. We'll see how that affects the markets. But to go into some economic data that came out today, and this is what was really, really strange. So of course, the economic news is what? Bad news for the economy. Okay, like May construction spending coming out minus 0.1% month over month. They were expecting a positive number of 0.2%. Private construction minus 0.2%. Home improvements down. I mean, and you can see on this chart. And just think about this. Imagine if that $2 trillion infrastructure bill wasn't passed, because I assume that has to be part of this. That's why you see that big move up right there going from 2023 to 2024. And you can see, looking at this, then you look to the left, obviously that's going down. Okay, not a good thing. No surprise though. But when you look over here, what else do we have? ISM manufacturing PMI down to 48.5. They thought it was going to be 49.1. New orders up to 49.3. Production back in contraction. Prices paid easing, which is actually a good thing, to 52.1. Employment down in contraction again. And I mean, you can look at this thing, right? As long as below that line, it's in contraction. And so the thing that was weird about it, you get this, news that really things are still slowing down, right? But what the 10-year yield do? It spiked again. And this is like the 3rd time we've seen this where all of a sudden, bad news is coming out for the economy and the yield spike, which is kind of crazy. So I'm thinking it has to be more of a technical thing than anything else. Maybe it's heading to the top of this channel. Maybe it's going for a draw on liquidity, which you can see right here. That will be a perfect time because if you look at the top of this channel right here, what else you also have? You have what? A daily fair value gap, what lines up with the top of it. Okay, so it'll be a perfect time for it to reject off there, start to come back down, and then maybe go to the bottom of the channel or pull some more liquidity, whatever it wants to do. But that's the only thing I can think right now. I don't see any other reason this will be going up off of that kind of news when that just 99% of the time that is not the case. Now, of course, when this happens, what does it do? It puts pressure on small caps and high beta stuff. So that's what you saw today. Those stocks are having a really, really tough time. And while we're talking about the bond market, HYG, which is high yield junk bonds, one thing I look at, because it was red today while the market was green, and it's kind of pointing down a little bit, but really just watch that white line right there because around 75.94, because that was the previous all-time high going back to 2022. And so if that breaks, that is when you pretty much really need to be worried, okay? Because we've seen it before. Not not saying we're going to crash or anything, but obviously the last time it broke, what happened? That was when we had a nice little sell-off back there in April. But we did when we came back above, we retested it. And so if that breaks, it's a pretty major level, okay? And so that's where I'd go ahead and make sure you watch that. But also I'm going to draw a line right here because that's where we bounced and stuff. So around 74.23 because that's really the line in the sand, okay? The first warning sign is going to be like the 75.94. Now, looking at Tesla here, obviously huge day up. And it really has moved up in a very good way, actually. You see a huge breakout of that trend line. Then another trend line we broke above. So you get these explosive moves above these trend lines, and which were resistance. But the big thing was all the EV makers came out with deliveries, and all of them were up today because they said, oh, well, they actually beat delivery numbers, right? And of course, Tesla, we've been told that, oh, it's going to miss numbers, right? Now, of course, the big thing to look at, resistance when you're looking at it, is what we hit today. Anywhere in that area you can see going pretty far back, almost to 2021, between 210 and 217. So it's a wide range right there, but as soon as they hit it today, it started to slow down, which was expected. But the big thing is going to be that trend line right there. When that breaks, whenever that is, whether it's soon or later, I mean, that's when you're talking about a rocket ship, because that line has held this stock down going back to, I think it's August of 2021. So for that, if it does happen, that's when you're going to see the rocket just absolutely take off. Okay, now Again, tomorrow, what do we got? We got delivery numbers for Tesla. All right, the bar has been set super low, but people saw, oh, well, the EV makers, obviously China must have picked up if they're doing well with this. So maybe Tesla will beat it. And if it comes in line or above, yeah, I mean, Tesla, and it could be a sell the news event, which some people are thinking just because of this huge move up over the last few days here. And so maybe it's priced in. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Now, Apple had this nice little breakout right here, as you can see. And of course, it came back down, didn't quite retest this line, which we thought we would do. We'll see if we get it tomorrow or not. If it does, obviously you can see a nice bounce up and start continuing to head up because we are going into like a bullish time frame in the market right here, which of course you got mega caps like Google and Amazon and others that usually have good Julys. And if we do get a move down tomorrow and come down, hit that trend line, don't have to. I mean, it could just come into the level and move back up. Obviously, you're looking around 217.50 to break. When that breaks, then you're going to go up to 219.75 up there, as we can see. And then if 219.75 breaks, then obviously 220 is going to be that magic number, which is now actually technically the all-time high, right? So watch out for that. Again, it's Apple. It usually doesn't have these crazy big moves, but depending on how the market wants to digest this short week this week, like we talked about in the beginning, if it does move down, obviously watch to come down into this daily fair value gap here to grab liquidity before moving back up, because that will put it in a discount window. Also grab liquidity and then come back up, which that trend line will be resistance again. So keep an eye on that. We'll see how the week's going to try to play out on this one. Now, when you go over to Snow, obviously another, was this 4 days in a row now? Nice and green and really big moves for it right now. It's up against this trend line right here. On a short time frame, I think it actually broke right above it. But that's the big thing you've been waiting on, right? To see right here, you kind of see on the shorter, on the daily, just looks like it's right up against it. I believe on the hourly as well. And so, again, if this breaks, and especially gets a retest on that line, then you could see even, obviously, a bigger move because it's been getting held down by that trend line for quite a while now. And when those major trend lines break of resistance right there, it's even a bigger explosive move. And you can see stochastic, the RSI is right where you want it to be, right? We talked about this with other stocks. This is where you want it to be. So the momentum is there. It just has to push through and continue on tomorrow. Again, it's been a big move over 4 days. You would hope for some digestion. But again, if it does continue to start to move up, now we're looking at where it can grab liquidity and things of that nature. That's what we got to look for. And you can see anytime you pull a stochastic RSI, that's what you want to see right there. That's when Snow has its biggest move. Now, earnings aren't anywhere close to where we're going to be seeing them anytime soon. So we won't be getting some kind of earnings bump or earning breakdown like you see right there. And so just watch the stochastic, which is the momentum, to stay up in that upper area right there, the RSI, to stay moving up because it's nowhere close up to being overbought or anything. If it does break above, that's when you guys start looking to see, okay, where's this thing going to start grabbing liquidity at before you start getting reactions. You can see right there, as I showed you before, that you usually get reactions in these fair value gaps if you're going to get them. Okay, because it's going to pull liquidity, come down, maybe test the trend line, start going back up because it left a lot. I mean, it was a damaged chart, man. It left a lot of fair value gaps behind. Doesn't mean it hasn't reacted at all. It can power right through it, right? I saw a couple of stocks do that today. All right, and that's a super bullish thing. And then just come down and test them as an inverse fair value gap or something. And if it does keep going, watch this trend line right here. This was support, which now will be resistance going all the way back right here to June of 2022. All right, and I'll show you another chart coming up here, what I'm talking about with that kind of trend line right there, if that happens. Now, looking at Palantir, this has had a nice move up. Look for 26.45 to be resistance right there. Give us a third touch on that trend line. And it usually respects these well, so I would expect to move down if it actually hits that tomorrow. Again, looking at momentum and stuff, this one's had pretty good momentum coming behind it. Nice little pump going on right here. Stochastic hadn't quite reached up into that upper area, but the RSI is over 50, broke that moving average. You can see right there on the 4-hour time frame, that is. And so if we do come back down, start grabbing for liquidity before moving up, watch that daily fair value gap right there around 25.04, goes down to 24.30, right? And see if we get a bounce up. Now, sales is the one I was going to tell you guys about this thing. I told you that trend line right there was going to be resistance when it hit it, and boy, when it hit it, it started off huge today. This trend line right here, okay, this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about Snow, right? This kind of trend line, which is support, then will become resistance. And man, this thing took off in the morning and it hit that trend line and just ricocheted. Boom. Huge drop down off that, right around 7% drop. All right. So Look for the same thing. Maybe happening in snow again. It has to reject off of it. It breaks above it and retests it. That's fuel for the fire, but not this one. So that one ended up coming down. And again, all you're looking at for this one, because this is momentum stock, it has nothing to do with the company itself. The company's losing market share, all that crazy stuff itself. This just has to do with a stock chart. Okay, it's a technical thing. You're still looking for this right here. You got a stochastic over the 50 now, but the RSI, you still don't have a boatload of momentum behind this name at all. You're just looking for what you see to the left. That's what you're looking for right here on the right. That's what you got to wait on. If you're patient, you can front run if you want to. But now when it does break that trend line, that should be a good move for sure. Now Nike's an interesting one we talked about because it came down, like I talked about the other day. I said it'd be nice if it fills that gap. It actually bounced off the gap. Where's the gap from? The gap is from the 2020 crash is where the gap is from. And you can see when it came up, it tested it, but didn't come down into it and bounced. And you see this is 2020 right here, right? This is the March crash right there. And so it could be pulling the same thing where it just comes down. Again, these gaps don't have to fill, but it could be bouncing just like it did right there. It bounced twice off that gap and never came down and actually filled into it. And so that's what it's doing now. So we'll keep an eye on it. Again, we don't expect a lot from Nike going, for a while, at least according to their earnings call and stuff, still a mess. Now, a lot of you guys ask about Fintech still. And look, plain and simple, guys. Fintech is still in the doghouse. You can see PayPal has been a hot mess. It always gets up around 68, sells off, staying in a range. You can see Square right here. Again, staying in a range. Nothing great going on right here at all with Square. We move over. You can sit there and pull up SoFi, which I know I get questions about. And you see SoFi has been selling off since like the beginning of 2024. Has no break going on. Again, if it ever breaks above that trend line, maybe you get a nice big move. But it's just like every other fintech. We go into any of the rest of them, Affirm. You can see right here. Look at that. I mean, downtrend, trying to base out the bottom. You can look at Lending Club's actually been one of the best as far as not selling off, just selling sideways in 2024, right? Just in this range right here. You go to Upstart, last one, same thing. It's just a mess. I mean, no money rotation is based out. But if money can rotate into it, great. But it's not just your fintech; it's all the fintechs, right? It's just a mess. And so let me know what you think of that down in the bottom. Hope that helps you out. But again, looking at what's going on tomorrow, Fed Jerome Powell speaks tomorrow. I don't know in what setting he's speaking in. And then we'll get JOLTS job openings after the bell opens. So expect some movement off that. Again, I have no idea where this man's speaking in, if it's going to be in a college or whatever. If you have a note put in the bottom, I mean, it's probably going to be a nothing burger. It happens at 9:30 right at open, which wouldn't they schedule at 9:30? Yeah, sure, of course they would. So anyway, I mean, it's going to be an interesting week because you do have this really short week, and a lot of people like to hold. Some people don't even mess with this week at all. A lot of people on vacation because it's 4th of July week and stuff. So let me know if you got anything going on. We'll be going on vacation in a couple weeks, but not this week. So anyway, hope you guys got something out of it. Please hit the like, subscribe button on the way out. Really appreciate it as always, and I'll see you tomorrow.